Hey guys, this is the first video in the 10-part video series I'm doing specifically on cold calling and just running through the exact strategies and skills and everything I use to book 150 meetings from about $5,000 at TeleSense. So the first part that I want to talk about was just the cold call opener. So many people get really stuck on, what do I say when I actually call them? Do I say, hi, how are you? What exactly do I say? So I borrowed this from Bilal. If anyone in sales would know him from LinkedIn, and this is my favorite opener that I would use every single time. So I'd say, "Hey Scott, this is Matthew Lakajev calling from TeleSense. Scott, you weren't expecting my call, but do you have a moment? I promise to be brief." You'd always make sure I do, speak slowly, first and last name, because people that say first and last name speak with importance. Say where you're from. Do you have a moment? And then just pause and just wait, even the uncomfortable pause. I'm going to tell you now there's actually only three things that are actually going to come back and say to you from this. And I'm just going to tell you exactly how to handle those things. The first thing is being that they're just going to say yes. They're just going to say, if they say yes, it gives the opportunity to then run ahead with your pitch. And I'll talk about pitch construction in the next video. And if they say yes, it just means you have the ability to then pitch. My pitch would usually be about a minute long before I do my call to action right at the end of the pitch as well. The second question that I'd always get is, where are you from again? Or where are you from? I'd say TeleSense, they've never heard of it, right? No one had ever heard of the name. Whenever they said that, I'd always say, TeleSense, have you heard of us before? Always in a way that marks like, you should have heard us. And a lot of the time they'll say no, or every single time they said no. And then I'll just say again, do you have a moment? I promise to be brief. And then usually they just run into it, and either they'd say yes, or they'd say the last one being, no, sorry, I'm in the middle of something. If someone was in the middle of something, I would never ever press them. I would just say, look, no problem. Is it okay if I give you a call next week, Tuesday afternoon? Even if they say to me, look, just speak to me now, it's okay. I'd always say, no, I'm disturbing you. It's completely fine. I'll give you a call back next week. The reason I did that is because I had a large target list to call, so it was completely fine. I also didn't want them to assume that I was a salesperson, because a salesperson would take every opportunity to allow someone to speak. If you say, no, I'm not going to speak to you now, then they're assuming you're not a salesperson. They think this is some type of a business call. So when you do eventually call them next week, you generally do always get through when you do, and they will actually accept your call because they'll remember you called. And it ties in one of the rules of Robert Cialdini's book Influence, of consistency. You were consistent in the actions that you had, thus they will allow you to speak next week when you call them for a minute, and you're not getting everyone on the back foot. You also don't want to get people on the back foot just because they'll say, oh, it's fine, like speak now. When you're halfway through, they realize you're a salesperson. They're like, oh, why did I let the salesperson speak? And so they're never going to be on a good spot anyway. Cool. Thanks, guys. This is my first video in the 10-part video series. Let me know what you think.